In this video, we're going to be talking purely about math, actually. This first worksheet that I typically do in the beginning of the year is really just the math that is needed to succeed in this class. So these math formulas are not random. They are specific formulas that we would typically use throughout the year, except I pulled all of the science out of it, and all we're going to learn for this point, at this point, is just to solve for x. Now, the way I'm going to do it is what I consider to be the easiest way, or the way that works for every possible scenario, no matter where the x gets placed. If you know of a different way to do it, you can obviously do that way as long as you're getting the right answer. But I am going to show what I consider to be the easiest way that works for every scenario of all ability levels. So that way you can just learn it one way, do it the same way every time, and you'll get the answer. One thing with the way this, the way this sheet is formatted is pretty simple. Numbers 1 through 10, they are the same problem with different numbers. So I'm going to do number 1, and then you should be able to use that as a model to solve for 2 through 10. Same goes for 11 and so on. This math is the math that you need, the minimum amount of math you need to be able to do well in this class. You should know how to do these without me helping you, but as long as you can, pick up and remember maybe what you forgot, then that's all that's really necessary. You just need to be able to get these done by relatively quickly. All right, so here's problem number 1. So let's get started here. So the first step, whenever you have a multiply by 100, this is where there's another way to do it. I'm not going to show you. If you know how to do it, great. If not, just do it my way. I distribute the 100 into the numerator only, so it ends up becoming 5 equals 100x minus 700 over 7. Next step would be to make two fractions and cross multiply. So then I get 35 equals 100x minus 700. Then I combine like terms. In this case, the like terms do not have the x in them. And then we get x alone by, in this case, dividing by 100. And there's your answer. So 2 through 10 should be the same problem, and their solution will be the same setup, just the numbers will work out to be a different number each time. Number 11, so all I did here was I moved the x, so instead of putting it here, I moved it into these other two spots. That's very common in chemistry, although, there could be one x or two x's. We'll never have to worry about exponents, just simple solve for x. We don't have to worry about quadratic equations or anything like that here. So my first step is to distribute the 100s, or the 100, only to the top two numbers, not the top and the bottom. That's a common mistake. And then I make my two fractions and cross multiply. So it's going to be 5x and 1 times all that. My next step is going to be to combine like terms. The way I combine like terms, in this case they have the x, so I'm going to add 100x to each side. That gets rid of it here and adds it there. Then I divide by 105 on both sides to get x alone. .6 bar, or round it to 6.7. Rounding doesn't really matter in this class except for one very specific type of problem, and I'll obviously let you know when that happens. So then 12 through 20 should be all the same problem as this, just with different numbers. 21 and 26, I'm going to do one of each. This is a mimic of the density formula. This is what it looks like. I'm just going to show you how to solve it. They can be as easy as number 1, and sometimes they require a second step, and then they're as easy as number 26, or in this case 21. So first step here, I want to get x alone. I have one fraction and one number, make two fractions and cross multiply. And that actually solves this problem. 5 times 3 is 15. 1 times x is 1x. So you could leave it at that, or you could rewrite it x equals 15. I don't really care. Okay. Sometimes they require a second step. So same problem, except now the x is in the denominator. So I make my two fractions and I cross multiply, and I get 35x equals 5. So now I need a second step here. Divide by 35 on both sides. A common mistake I see a lot. Students will often place 35 over 5 and get 7 as an answer. Just because you're so used to doing big number over little number, that's not right. It's always the numerator over the denominator, or the top number over the bottom number. And if the number happens to be, or if the answer happens to be smaller than 1, then it's smaller than 1, and that's the answer. There's no way around that. So in this case, I do my math and I get 0.14 as my answer. So that's the first page. There is a back. You will hear me say that a lot this year. So if we go to the back page, they look like this. And I'm going to do a couple from the back as well. So from the back page, I end up with this problem. This is a common problem. The numbers get big, but the answers are pretty simple. I have two fractions. I'm just going to go right to cross multiplication, and then I'm going to get 15 times x times 373. So all that, and then 273 times 26 times 12, and I get that. So to get x alone, then I end up with x is 15.2. So I'm going to do 2 from the last column. The reason being is they are done slightly differently, but it doesn't really matter. They should definitely not be outside of your ability range. So my first step here, you can do this any way you want. I'm going to work with the parentheses. So I can't do x minus 3 because I don't know what x is. So what I'm going to do, my next best option is I'm going to multiply those two together, and I will get 204 times x minus 3. Then I'm going to distribute into the parentheses. Minus 612. Then I'm going to combine like terms. Then I'm going to get x alone by dividing by 204. And I end up with 28. All right, so that's that problem. And then last thing would be this problem down here. I'm going to move it around to make it a little bit easier to see, hopefully. So we'll do them side by side. Well, we'll do number 45. So I guess 45 looks like this. All right. And in this case, I can actually just do the subtraction in the parentheses because there's no x here. So 17.5 minus 3.5 gives me 14. And then I've got that. So I can multiply those together. It doesn't really matter how you do this as long as you end up with the right answer. So I'll get 11x times 14, or put it in the parentheses, doesn't really make a difference. Then I'll do that. 154x equals 150, get x alone. .97. And there we go. So after seeing these, you should be able to do all the rest of the math problems for this page without any real difficulty. If you need to go back over them, definitely go back over them. Everything within a column is done pretty much the same way, so it shouldn't be that hard for you.